Has Turki Al Sheikh got boxing matchmaking all wrong? Watch this video. Hello, welcome to me, Edson. Hope you're all well. So, very quick question here. Turki Al Sheikh, yeah, we've been singing his praises, singing the praises of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh season fight cards. Are they getting the matchmaking always right? Or are they getting them right in most situations? And I have my doubts. And I'm really thankful for what Turki Al Sheikh and the Saudis have done in terms of forcing the promoters to get together and put on fights, and the catalyst that we're getting some decent fight cards out there, and we're getting the fights that we never thought we'd ever see. But I said this a while ago, so they've got to keep this momentum going. They can't just kind of regress into what the promoters used to do in kind of putting duff fight cards on. You know, you're supposed to be the elite of the elite in terms of fight cards. Everybody wants to be on your fight cards. You're rewarding these fighters, over rewarding them in many cases. But they've got to bring the show, and you know you've got to expect that these fighters are going to come on and they're going to deliver a performance. And what we've seen in quite a few fights now is that it hasn't been the case. That we've had people like Shakur Stevenson. For me, I don't necessarily think that, you know, he delivers a great performance. Yes, performance in terms of boxing terms, but in terms of entertainment, like I was talking about on my previous video, I'm not sure he dazzles, and I'm not sure he should be on Riyadh season fight cards either. You know, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, as I said, Teofimo Lopez, again, certainly Haney and Garcia, they just didn't deliver. Canelo, I know he's on a 4-fight deal, just didn't deliver for me. But you've got other fighters that have so delivered. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. We've had other fighters on there that have really delivered. So you kind of think, well, if some fighters are delivering and others not, is it a fighter issue or is it a matchmaking issue? And when we had the first few fight cards, we thought, wow, this matchmaking is great. We're getting some really great fights, and we're getting 50-50 fights as well. Whereas now you're kind of thinking, are we getting the best fights? Are we getting 50-50s? And also, what is it with these boxers not actually fighting each other, the boxers that they should be fighting against? You know, we've had it early doors. We had Joshua against Wilder. They were both on the same fight card, but they weren't fighting each other. We've had it again, Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney, both on the same fight card, but not fighting each other. And that's just who we want to see fighting. So this is the whole point of the Riyadh season fight cards, and obviously by extension Ring Magazine. You know, you shouldn't have these, okay, this round and then the winner of this round, the winner stays on and you go and fight each other. No, just get these two on. This is what it's all about. We're not talking about title eliminators here. We're talking about just putting on the best show, the best fights, 50-50 fights, barnstormers, the ones that are really going to get the, you know, the crowd going, the TV audience going as well. When you think about this, you think about the matchmaking. The matchmaking is there to entice people, to grab their attention and to keep them engaged. This is ahead of the fights. Now, you can't always say, okay, right, well, these fights are always going to deliver. Life isn't like that. We always get disappointments. Of course we do. But there's got to be an expectation. We say, well, actually, I'm going to put this boxer against this boxer, this style against this style. This style boxer here is very defensive. This style here is also very defensive. Well, if that's the case, these two aren't going to match up. Regardless of their massive names, they're not going to match up. This guy's over the hill. This guy is, you know, coming up about 3 weight classes. You know, I'm not sure. Yeah, everybody wants to see it. We'll put it on, but any chance this is going to deliver? Then you get the likes of, you know, Joshua against Dubois, and you think, wow, that delivered. Maybe not the way in which Turki Al Sheikh wanted it to deliver, because they're all expecting Joshua to win, but great. It was great because it delivered. It delivered in terms of entertainment. Usyk and Tyson Fury fights, they delivered. And the undercards, they delivered for the most part. But then you get other fights that just didn't deliver at all. And then we've started to see the last 2 or 3 fight cards where you think, well, are we really getting the best fights, the best match making here by Turki Al Sheikh? You can't just put it down to him, because as I say, it's the fighters that don't turn up as well. But I'm just wondering whether him and his team are being pressured, or they're just being fobbed off a little bit by saying, actually, we want the best fights. and they're being told, we can't get the best fights, you can't get this boxer in. Or maybe a lot of the boxers and their managers are starting to, say, well, look, these Saudis, they're going to pay anything, so we'll just play a bit hardball as well. And for me, I said, look, be careful what you wish for, definitely, but there's got to be a point where the boxers and the management, the promoters say, hold on, they're willing to pay all this money, we'll do it. We'll do it. Whatever it is, we'll do it. This is this is the model that they want to go after, fine. But also we've got to think, well, the spectre of Turki Al Sheikh going in with TKO Dana White, they want to go into this kind of UFC sort of format boxing league. Well, the only thing I could say on that element, which I'm not 100% sure is going to be great, but I'll tell you what would be great, is if they had a performance bonus on their fights, and not necessarily pay these boxers, millions and millions ahead of time. Just say, no, you get paid, for the top level elite fighters, you'll get paid a certain amount. But actually, it's how you perform in the ring. And if you perform in the ring, you'll get a hefty performance bonus. But if you don't perform in the ring, guess what? You ain't getting any performance bonus. If you don't entertain the crowd, if you don't get people wanting to watch you more, then we're not going to pay for this. And this is where I see it going with the boxing league. It's going to be performance-based as well. But they have to deliver. So the matchmaking has to be right. I'm not sure they're getting it right. I think they've had a couple of dud fights here and there. They've had a few issues left, right and centre with fighters not turning up and wanting to fight. And I'm not sure is Turki Al Sheikh and his team have got it all wrong, but I think they could be influenced by a lot of the promoters. I think the promoters are, maybe the relationship isn't as great as it once was between the promoters and Turki Al Sheikh, especially now they've gone with Dana White and the TKO deal as well. Maybe there's a bit of friction there. I sense there's a bit of friction there behind the scenes with Frank Warren as well as Eddie Hearn as well, but it's hard to say because nobody's really saying anything right now. But in terms of getting the best fights and the Barnstormer fight cards and having great fights right from the word go, just like we had with the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. fight card, I thought they were decent fights. They weren't all Barnstormers, but they were decent fights coming all the way up. And it was building up to a crescendo of the main event, which delivered. The same with the Top Rank fight card. It built up to a crescendo, which delivered the main event. And a lot of the fight cards that started off with Riyadh season were kind of building up to that. But then it started to peter out a little bit. We're not always getting those best fight cards. Or certainly the best matchups in terms of styles as well. Styles makes fights. We know that. Matchmaking, it's critical in boxing. And if you want to have this entertainment sport, then it's got to be entertaining. And, I'm not even just talking about, whether you're talking about casual fans or whether you're talking about, boxing fans who are deep entrenched into it, so whether you can see all the tiny elements, all the nuances of the boxing skills, or whether you're just there for the entertainment, or whether you just want to see a good scrap. Either way, you've got to have something that you're going to be really invested in. And in terms of this as a business, because it's got to be a business model, because this is what they were critical of Riyadh season when they first started with Tyson Fury against Ngannou. They're saying this isn't a business model. So the only reason this is going on is because the Saudis are paying for it, overly paying for it. But in terms of a business model, in terms of this paying for itself, it won't. And you've seen Turki Al Sheikh and Riyadh season slowly but surely put more and more emphasis on the pay-per-view sales that they're making and recouping their money on this, because you can't just keep on throwing millions and millions and millions and overpaying fighters who just don't deliver a product. At the end of the day, the product is that you're selling great fights and great fight cards, and you got to sell pay-per-views or sell whatever you're selling, earning the money off the back end of that. They've got to be paid for somehow. And the only way they realize their worth, these boxers, is by putting on a performance, and that's got to be assisted by great matchmaking in the first place. But it is a business at the end of the day. If they continue to want to take the piss and not put on a performance or keep on taking money, if the Saudis want to keep on overpaying boxers and not have any kind of performance clause in there as well, then all of a sudden you're going to have this situation get worse and worse. So this is why the matchmaking has to improve, has to get better, or they have to stay on point. And the fighters have to deliver a performance. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, just keep on watching the videos. Don't forget, you can go to the website, revelatoralf.com/books for all my sporting books, and the New Look website there as well. Go check it out. Right, and with that, I'll catch you on the next video. Ta-da now.